Welcome back to Tipton Bros. Today, we'll be discussing the U.S. T-13 Specialized Hand Grenade, lovingly referred to as the BEANO. Before we begin, I must disclose that I am no expert and never claimed to be. Now, let's get into it. By early 1944, the U.S. was an industrial and military juggernaut, a fighting force whose equipment and training had largely been standardized. This was no longer a hesitant feeling out process, as it had been in 1942, but rather a brazen march to the Japanese mainland and soon enough Berlin. The United States at war's start deferred to the Mark II or pineapple grenade without a second thought. A reliable and time-tested explosive that was in no rush to be replaced, and understandably so. But as the conflict progressed, technology blossomed. Aircraft, small arms, and ordnance evolved rapidly, prompting the U.S. to reevaluate the Mark II hand grenade. The Office of Strategic Services, abbreviated as OSS, sought to create a more user-friendly and recognizable device for American troops. A familiar shape became the frontrunner, and for good reason: the baseball. Surely every young man could throw a baseball, or at least has done so a few times in his life. A novel idea from the OSS that certainly warranted a deeper dive. The requirement was issued in the infancy of 1944 for a fragmentation grenade that utilized an impact fuse and emulated the dimensions of an average baseball. The Eastman Kodak Corporation rose to the occasion, but not without great difficulty. The BEANO itself was simple enough, with, quote, a smooth steel body, 0.4 inches in wall thickness with a diameter of just under 3 inches. Weighing 12 ounces when fully assembled, the T-13, for all intents and purposes, was a heavy steel baseball. The fuse, however, was troublesome, and became a thorn in the side of both Kodak and the Army Ordnance Department. To identify the impasse in development regarding the fuse, one must understand how the BEANO grenade functioned. In use, the BEANO would be held with 2 fingers on top of a spring-loaded, knurled cap. The pin would be pulled and the explosive thrown. In flight, the spring-loaded cap would separate from the grenade body, taking with it a short lanyard. The lanyard then pulls an arming pin from the fuse assembly. The BEANO could subsequently detonate on impact. This negates any possibility for the grenade to be thrown back, but came at the cost of an extremely sensitive mechanism. Kodak employed a carousel of fillers, but eventually settled on Composition A, a granular explosive composed of 91% RDX and 9% desensitizing wax. The fuse was tweaked, but remained touchy, and with this, the T-13 BEANO was submitted for testing. Arriving at Aberdeen Proving Grounds in March of 1944, the grenade was put through the ringer, enduring rough handling, temperature extremes, and chemical exposure, among other methods of assessment. The BEANO fared well and was pushed through to live trials. No longer was the T-13 in a controlled environment but the hands of infantry soldiers. Hence, the grenade began to falter. Concerning military technology especially, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Premature detonation occurred both when throwing or accidentally dropped, resulting in numerous injuries. The BEANO, when examined in cold weather, again displayed dubious reliability, with several duds due to stiff internals. Kodak's T5 fuse was an accident waiting to happen, so much so that a recommendation was considered to halt production entirely until the mechanism could be redesigned. Unfortunately, the Army Ordnance Department lacked patience, instead ordering that all existing T-13 BEANO grenades equipped with an unruly T5 fuse were to be inspected and issued while development continued for a safer alternative. Roughly 10,000 BEANOs of the original pattern would reach the shores of Western Europe for field trials before war's end. As one might expect, the T-13 fizzled out, metaphorically and literally, as the ground was too soft to detonate the grenade. In an article written by Anthony D., he states, on March 22, 1945, testing revealed that of the 2,742 BEANOs thrown, there was a 10% failure rate. He continues, there were also 5 premature detonations that had mortally wounded 2 men and injured 44 others. Shortly after its debut, the T-13 would be shelved, as testing and production came to a grinding halt under the orders of U.S. Army General Joseph Stilwell. Remaining inventory was to be stored or destroyed until the puzzle that was the BEANO could be solved. A final iteration, dubbed the T-13E3, claimed to have corrected the fuse, but the spring-loaded cap proved another hazardous and insurmountable hurdle. A decisive nail in the coffin of this baseball-shaped explosive. Currently, a T-13 BEANO grenade is quite collectible, and regularly fetches $1,000 or more at auction. I hope you've enjoyed today's brief overview of the US T-13 BEANO hand grenade. We are a small channel, so a like is greatly appreciated, and recommendations are always welcome. Again, I am no expert, and never claim to be. Until next time, on Tipton Bros.